Alright. Shalom. Keep the sheep back with the spirit of power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah. Crank up this sit down. Knowing willing is edifying. But before we begin, we like to first start off like with all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash.
Double honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, shalom, and shalom to the group of the elect.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Right, today's lesson will be titled Jacob's Trouble, the final test for the elect. All right, and today we just want to touch on how Jacob's trouble ultimately it's called Jacob's trouble for a reason, but also Jacob will be saved from this trouble. And right now, as we're facing Jacob's trouble, we're at the peak of it. And we're gonna be faced with a lot of stuff. We're gonna be tested. It's like in the world, okay? Like with schools, like I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. You got like your finals, like you got different tests to put you to that next level. All right, so now we're about to be tested on everything that we've learned in this truth. All right, everything that you learn built up through the spirit of power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Most High to test you to that limit. All right, He's gonna test you to that T, just to make sure you can get to the next level. So Jacob trouble is really gonna make and break a lot of people. That's why the Lord said, roughly paraphrasing, then shall they know who my chosen are. All right, because ultimately Jacob's trouble is gonna test the elect by way of fire, but not literal fire, right? By trials, tribulations, right? The different circumstances, right? If brothers ain't got nothing, we can get to Job, but I'm pretty sure y'all do. So go ahead.
I'll start off with this. This is 1 Peter 4 and 12, right? It says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, it's like it has though some strange thing happen unto you, right? So you can't think of it strange, right? You got to take these things happily, right? That's what that's what the scriptures say. Happy is the man whom the Most High chasteneth, right? You got to understand that these things are coming, but that also means that the Lord is ultimately dealing with you, man, because the Lord is going to chasten those who He loves, right? The scriptures also tell you that, right? Those who He loves, He corrected, wrong, paraphrasing, right? So you can't think of it as strange or something that shouldn't be happening or be questioning, why me? You got to take those things happen, and ultimately, like I said, understand it's just the Lord dealing with you, right? Verse 13, it says, but rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Yahweh's sufferings, that when His glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy, right? So the same way Yahweh had to suffer in order to get, his rightful place on the right hand of Yahweh, right? Well, you got to do the same thing. You're gonna have to suffer too, right? The servant isn't greater than his master, so you're gonna have to go through things the same way Yahweh did. But ultimately, right, when Yahweh gets that recognition that he deserves, you're gonna be glad that you did what you did, because you'll receive your reward too, right? When he comes into power, he gonna have his reward, of course, which is power over everything, and he gonna give you your reward according as your works, right?
And real quick, just to add on, like you gotta understand that us being tried, like the brother said, the Lord chastens those who He loves. So as a Lord is trying, you gotta understand it's necessary. Meaning, you can't be, you have to be proven, man. All right, and these tests, they not to break you. All right, in the world, we talk when things get hard, they would give up or the Most High not dealing with you, but it's actually the opposite. All right, for Job, for example, the more trials you face, a lot of times the more the Most High is dealing with you. All right, but according to this world, the more you go through, is you down in this world. But the blessed are those who have the materials to prove they're blessed. But it's actually the opposite.
I got a quick precept on that point real fast. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says there had no temptation taken us, but such as is coming to man. But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with temptation also make a way to escape that ye may be able to bear it. Right, so like we're saying, Yahweh ain't gonna just put nothing on you can't bear, but it's also a test, and to whom we give much requires, it's a test to, your faith. See if you can hold on. You know, 'cause different brothers have different battles and things that they face. So Yahweh Shah gonna test you in those ways, you know, to see if you gonna give in. You know, I was just doing a lesson earlier, and I was reading Second Ezra 7, around about verse 47, and you know, Ezra was saying to the Most High, you know, he was like, it would have been better for you not to put it in Adam's hand. You know, Adam went off, but he was like, or you know, you could have restrained him. Well, you really understand it. The scriptures tell you, you know, Genesis 3, when Adam and Eve did go off, or Eve, let's see, Adam, like he said, you know, I have let you go off, I let you learn these ways, you know, so you can be a proper God. So how about Shah? I want to see who would restrain, who would stay focused, who would overcome, you know, who would stay in the faith during these troubled times that we're going to face.
God, you can say something?
I was gonna say, brother, on point, because again, you know, the Lord is not gonna give His kingdom to just anybody, right? He got to give it to those who have been tried, who have been hardened, who have been through that war with, you know, the flesh and the spirit, you know, and who made it out on the other side, right? But that was just the only point I was making.
God, I got a quick precept going off. Your precept, and the brother, what's your name is again? Rock and shot. I want to say I said, but I got to get it down pat. So this Revelation 2:10 say, fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, right? You know that devil being who Esau, Edom. He said that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful to death, and I will give thee a crown of life, right? And we already been saying that through this ICE. That was going on in Minneapolis, right, Minnesota. Things that says ICE going inside of schools, right, getting children from schools and detaining them, right, and you know they target the northern kingdom and also the southern kingdom, right, and these things only going to increase on the upscale, right. This only the beginning, like they speak of in Matthew the 24th chapter. This the beginning of sorrows, right. So the things that we have to go through and suffer is for a greater purpose, right. Things get worse before everything gets good, right. And then like the brother speak about Second Ezra, the 7th chapter, right. How can you inherit that kingdom without going through that hardship, right? That's why the Lord tell you to seek that straight gate, right? That STRAIT, that difficult gate, right? And things of that such, right? And endure to the end and finish the course because it's not easy, right? And that's why the Lord, you know, got to test and elect, and you know, Israelites have to be tried because why the Lord have to see who's really dealing with Him, who's really 10 toes down, who really willing to go through that fire for Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Right?
I'm just gonna read that precept, that straight gate precept. Before you get off the point. Matthew 7:13, right? It says, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many be there which go in thereat, right? Because again, that's the easy way out, right? The easy way out is to do what everybody else in the world doing, right? So you know, go to your job, try to get that promotion, try to get as much money as possible, you know, so on and so forth, right? Just live as people in the world, right? Like as the days of Noah, right? Those are the easy things to do, right? But verse 14 says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leads unto life, and few be that find it, right? So narrow is the way that is less traveled. That's the correct way to go.
It's a quick point, and I got a precept as well. But just even think about like the analogy, you know, using the sports analogy. You know, when you got a football team, when the coach picked the leaders or that team going to the season, you know, you got to go through the summer workouts, the spring workout. You know, you got to go through all this hard suffering and pain. You know, and when you pick those leaders, if you at the back skipping workout, when you doing running, if you ain't hustling, you ain't making times, you know, you causing trouble amongst the team. You're not gonna be amongst those leaders when they pick those leaders. It's the guys who, you know, when we done ran 10, 110s, that on the 10th one, they still run the same pace they ran on the first one. Because they know it's hard. You know what I'm saying? They know how tough it's going to be. They keep going. When we in the lifts, after scrap the running, they endure their fight. So those are the leaders, and that's the same way with Yahweh Shah. He's not picking those ones who running from the fight. He's picking those ones who stand up to it. Because at the end of the day, you know, those are the ones who got the faith to keep going. Because this is what we, you know, even with Yahweh Shah, you know, Yahweh Shah went off as Adam and Solomon, right? But when he came back as Yahweh Shah, he came back, did it perfect because he understood the will, he understood the faith. You know, he didn't want to die with Matthew 26. He didn't want to, you know, he kept asking. He prayed to him twice, you know. But he said, you know, if this cup cannot pass me, that will be done. And that's the main focus that we got to keep during these times of Jacob's trouble. That's the main focus we got to keep in this times period You know, thy will be done. That's the whole objective of it. You know, as soon as you lose that mindset within, you know, you bring that doubt, and you know that spiritual demon of doubt, you know, or it get inside your head. You know, you cook, because that's when you lacking the faith. You know, but I got a quick piece of real fast. Just going to the title at hand as well. Revelations 3:10 and 11. It says, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation." You know, like brother said, we're gonna go into Job. You know, and one of the things you know you say, well, remember the patience of Job, because when all these things as we're gonna read come upon Job, he keep that patience. You know, it says, "I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell therein, especially it's like it's all that dwell upon the earth, especially the elect. The elect are going to go through a lot. You know, the elect going to go through a lot. You know, we're going through a lot now. You know, we know during these times that the elect will be saved out of it. But who's to know that you know us being saved ain't just we get off the guillotine off real? Cause shoot, they can hurt the flesh and blood, but they can't hurt the spirit. You know, we might have to go into that guillotine as soon as it pop off. You know, to see if you're gonna really stay strong. Yahweh saying outside tempt you in all ways, you gotta keep that patient. Right? He says, "Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, and no man take thy crown." Because we're not chasing the crown of incorrupt. We're chasing the crown of no, we're not chasing the crown of corruption. We're chasing the crown of incorruption. You know, we're not chasing, you know, to survive or to, like the brother saying, you know, build a life of wealth, build a good life within this place. You know, once we get that sense that it's, you know, it's on us popping. You know, and we know, shoot, Esau come grab us up there, so we know what time it is. It ain't for us to try to sell out. It ain't for us to try to give in to what they want us to do. Now that's the time where Yahweh even told them when he sent the disciples into Samaria, he told them they're gonna take you up amongst councils and synagogues, things that such. But that's the time where you stand firm in my name and tell them about me. But
Good point. And see, that's gonna prove who studied, all right? What scripture says, study to show thyself approved. That's good. Because again, going back to the final test, all right. The test is gonna show who really believed, all right, who really had faith and who really studied, all right, who really built up works, all right, because anybody can at this point right now, it is only the elect is gonna survive. Only let's say it's the last man standing, only the elect, and we're seeing that day by day, all right.
I got two appreciate you for bringing something.
No, I'm already done. Joe.
Okay. So I'm bring out a quick piece of the brother point. So this Matthew 5:10 say, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you," meaning when men shall like threaten you, you know, as in a sense of where people say talk shit or whatever the case may be, right? It says, "And persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." He said, mind you, this Yahweh shall speak. He said, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." So when you have to go under that guillotine, right, like the scripture say, take no mind, roughly paraphrasing, take no mind of what you go say during that time, right? Because why? We have to go through that persecution. You got to think about the prophets that was before us that been beheaded, you know, killed, chopped up, and things that said. And we got to go through that same exact thing. You got to see what they did to the Savior, Yahushua, right? So we got to go through those similar things, those pains, those, you know, that death. You know, hey, it's gonna be some elect members that's gonna taste death, right? But what's gonna happen? They're gonna receive that crown of life, right? And I'm gonna grab this real quick. Matthew 13. And I start at verse 21, and it reads, I start at verse 21, get to the point. It says, "Yet hath he," 20. So he says, "But he that received the seed into stony places, the same as he that heareth the word, and anointed with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while, for when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended." Those are going to be the ones that you're going to see fall out of this truth, that's going to turn out and that's going to give up other brothers, because why? They're going to be scared of that death. But when you come into the truth, you understand that you shouldn't be afraid of death, right? You have to be afraid of what the scripture say. Don't be afraid of he that can kill the flesh or something like that. But yeah, so you know, and not only that, we know that, you know, death is just what your spirit going back into the spiritual realm, and your flesh going back into the earth, right? So let's continue on. Right, I start back up at 21 from the top. He said, "Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises, right? You gotta think the Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, right? The World War III, the famines and things that they said. There's gonna be people that's gonna give into the flesh. There's gonna be people that have doubt, right, and lose faith during these times. He said,
Quick point. I don't know, the brother probably seen it a while ago, but the dude who was basically asking, can he to have off time for his job, you know? And when you watch the video, he was saying like, you know, who gonna pay our bills? Who gonna do this and that? Who gonna, you know, things that said. Even during these times, where you know, because you gotta know, in the end times, he says it's gonna be famines. So it's gonna be a lot of guys who, you know, well, you see them now, but when those famines starting to hit, when things starting to get scarce and things of that such, you know, people gonna start quitting and giving out because they don't got that faith to endure even with hunger. This is like a better word. Hunger. They don't got the faith to endure thirst. They don't even got the faith to do that. You know, and that's gonna be the first sign to show that they ain't really standing for the truth. Right? They ain't really standing for it. But that was
Quick point. It's not going too far, but that's a good point because you know basically Esau had groomed 2/3 just for this time. He groomed you by way of what? By comfort, by way of fast food, Wi-Fi, internet, technology, AI. Like he groomed you with all these conveniences just for this time because Esau been strippers of everything. Why you think the MOTB is so important? This is how you're gonna access those things you once was convenient to you.
yeah, that's gonna be the main sellout mechanism right there. You know, Jake gonna want to maintain, you know, obtain all those things. Or I gotta eat, or I gotta have this, I gotta get money. I need my car because even El Pastor Harvey, some of this one day, you know, they gonna take your apartment, right? Or they gonna take your car too, because you could then sleep in the car. But even how you gonna drive your car if you can't do this, you can't get money, gas station. They gonna take everything for you. And a lot of Jake gonna be like, man, hold on, like Brother Reed, you know, the ones who not rooted, they gonna be like, hold on, nah, but we need this, you know. And then it's crazy because they gonna try to put it in they head like, oh yeah, how about y'all? He would want us to do this. He would want us to have this. You know, because those ones not truly, like the brother saying, the ones who truly study, you gonna know. How Shai told us, you know, we gonna, you know, it's the ones who lose everything for the truth. They're the ones who gonna receive
The
100-fold.
Lord said himself. He says, "Foxes have holes, but I have nowhere to go." Right? Roughly paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like when Peter was asking how, you know what I'm saying, we have forsaken all. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? You got to forsake. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you once had in the world, right? Like when that rich man came, see how Sean was saying, you know, how can he be in the kingdom? He told him, you know, so like you have him call me. You know, when he do, he cried because he was too attached to the world. He couldn't do it.
I got a quick precept, you know, it's gonna follow y'all points, those great points, right? It's Isaiah 65:13. He said, therefore said the Lord, Yahweh, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed, right? And that's how you know brothers really study, they know the scriptures and things that says, because why? You gotta have the faith. Right, you lose faith just that quick because you go a day or two without eating, right? A day or two without having a drink, right? That's why the Lord, you know, tell you to fast, and you know the elder apostles tell you, you know, to fast to really prepare yourself for these times, right? Because we're gonna be put in those uncomfortable situations to where we may not eat, right?
And eat healthy. Yeah, you full of these damn parasites. You feel me? You gonna be the witness with a damn, not the witness, but you're gonna be out and as a pilgrim with a damn sweet tooth. I need a damn honey bun, man. I need a damn donut.
It's spirit, because I've been watching. I've seen a couple videos of that like recently about how you know you gotta cleanse your body, man. Because like the parasites that be in your body, that shit real.
And those are the demons.
Literally, like you gotta think. It's a thing I seen on TikTok, right? It was like with swine. Swine, you know, they got a lot of those things, a lot of parasites and stuff. But it was like it was just, you know, it was just Jake, you know, asking a question not knowingly. But he was saying, you know, like why would Yahushua put the demons in the pig? Why would he cast them into the pigs? Like why swine? You know what I'm saying? Why them? And that's again eating clean. You know what I'm saying? Being clean because the Lord made these things for specific reasons.
But I'm finna finish off Matthew real quick. So this is Matthew 13:22. And it reads, he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Right? Verse 23, he said, but he that receives seed unto the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth fruit. It bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. And like we always say, man, you want to build that good ground, because that one that's of that good ground is rooted all the way in. That's gonna be the same person that endure to the end. right? You don't want to be the person that's among the thorns, right? And they get choked up by the things of this world and the cares of this world, the things of this. Because we all know this shit is temporary, right? First John, the second chapter, right? Tell you, love not the world, right? Because why? The lust of the flesh, right? The deceitfulness, right? The wickedness, and plus this shit is going to be destroyed. So why are you having your cares in this world, right? But you are that good ground. You're there to the end. You keep the faith. The hope, the believe. You praying, right? And Lord willing, you receive that crown of life.
And that seed is the knowledge. You understand? I want to say it's a Luke. I'm a chapter there. I'm gonna say Luke 8, but that seed is the knowledge. Understand?
You want me to go ahead and so we get that.
Did you finish everything about that? What was that last precept when he was talking about? Oh yeah, him that's not rooted. Go back to that one time.
Okay, so you want me to start at 21? Yeah, have he not rooted himself? So this is Matthew 13 and 21. Say, yet hath he not rooted himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended.
God, and that's showing you that even amongst the brothers, even amongst the counts, brothers gonna be tested. All right, and we as Lord, we're part of that number, but we as being men of the Lord, we gotta test brothers. We gotta try brothers. All right, let me see if this brother really 100%. Let me see if he really has the faith. Because think about how many times Yahweh tried the disciples. All right, yeah, the one account when they fell asleep on him, when he said, yeah, y'all couldn't stay up. They fell asleep twice, right? So there's gonna be times where you gonna have to try a brother. All right, that's all that. Go ahead.
You want me to read on down? Continue on. So verse 22 say, he also that receives seed among the thorns, he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, choke the word, he become unfruitful. But he that receives seed unto the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30.
God, and those are the men doing the work in sincerity and truth. All right. How you know these men? You know these men by their fruit. These men are growing in the truth. All right, and it's not a fact of subscribers and likes, but it's every time you see this brother, and I ain't never heard that precept. All right, damn, I ain't never heard that breakdown. I ain't never heard it like that. All right, or the brother he inspire you or he encourage you. Damn man, I need to get more on fire. Or damn man, I need to read that chapter. Things of that nature. And I'm gonna grab this real quick just to back that up. This is SIGH&CRY, also known as Ecclesiastes, Apocrypha. It says 6 and 7. It reads, if thou wouldst get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. All right, and that's why Jacob's trouble is necessary, because right now, even amongst great millstone, all right, even amongst whatever keepers of sheep, all right, you have men who are gonna fall out, all right, because Jacob's trouble is gonna be the ultimate test, all right. It's gonna be the ultimate test. Meaning, if you don't get, how some classes you got to get a B average, all right. You gotta maintain this. If not, you gotta repeat that class, right? Meaning you got to come back in the kingdom through the elect, all right. So right now you have to maintain this A average or B average in order to receive the kingdom, in order to be beamed up. If not, you're gonna flunk, right?
That's why Isaiah 13:2 it says, wave the banner over the high mountain, which is the high mountain, is the American government. Representing that government is the American government. So that banner is the standard, of Yahweh Shai, is the Bible. The scripture tells us Revelation 11:1, we measure ourselves through the scriptures, right? You reap what you sow. But that's why the scripture also says, you know your own selves. You know what you got going on. You know what you're doing. Things that say. So it's and like how about Shai say, we're gonna have a test, and brothers gonna turn on brothers. Sisters on sisters. Things that say. Everybody, it's gonna be a time to where only one you're gonna have.
Judas.
You only gonna be able to have faith in you. How about Shai? And if you ain't like he's saying, if you're not meeting that righteous standard, then how about Shai? He don't leave you down here because you weren't really rooted in. This is that's a better word. You weren't rooted in, or you wasn't truly locked in this truth as you say you were. I had another point where I had slipped my mind.
And just to add on, like you said, you gotta know, like not not saying boast, okay, oh, I'm 144, or, you know, I'm only leg, I'm not boasting it, but you gotta know, like, okay, I think that's why you have certain men that said hopeful elect. All right, who use that title? No other camp use hopeful elect with Great Millstone, right? So you have to, like I said, not boast in it, but you have to know, okay, it's a pretty good chance that, you know, the odds, you know.
It's like Paul. He was like, you know what I'm saying, I fought that good fight of faith. You know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. Because he knew the work that he put in. You know he put in work for y'all, but you know, shot. So he knew, you know what I'm saying, that he was to use a term in the world, he was one of those ones.
Cause you know in the world, like you don't corner up like you know when you don't fucked up, you know I don't fuck, I don't pass, I don't fail this test, or I man, damn, police, I know they gonna pull me over, like you know, so it's like you gotta know that, cause it like I think Paul even said it, he don't fight as one beat in the air, all right, meaning we not doing this in vain, we not doing this, of course. We doing this because we love the Lord, all right, and we were called to do this anyway. But we do this for the kingdom. I want many wives. I want many children. I want many lands. I want many servants. I want these things, right?
And there's another point you just brought back to me. I was going to say, you know, like I was mentioning that standard, you know, because America, they lack the fear of Yahweh Shah, right? That's why you got men who down low. You got people who do things. You got women who, you got people, men, women, all people who do things, you know, behind the scenes what people don't see, you know, because they lack the fear of Yahweh Shah. But it comes to a point to where, you know, you get into the truth, it tells you, fear is the beginning of knowledge and wisdom. So before you even do any bullshit thinking nobody don't see you, know Yahweh Shah got eyes on you. So it's that fear that make you stand on that right path, you know, stand focused. Like you was mentioning earlier, you know, it ain't necessarily being arrogant or cocky. Integrity, you know, and that's I had to lesson on this a while ago, but respectful fear, right? I got a definition of it. Respectful fear, often determine. I don't know what that word is. Yeah, we gonna go on it. Right. It says respectful fear is a deep positive recognition of someone or something's immense power, holiness, or authority. So we got respect. We got respectful fear for Yahweh Shah. We know because. We got respectful fear for Yahweh Shah because we know his power. We know that, hey, yeah, you might think you good, yeah, you might think you high, so you might think you doing, or whatever your mindset is, you thinking that can't nobody touch you, come against you. We know Yahweh Shah can destroy us. We know Yahweh Shah can, you know, set us to that condemnation, to the destruction that's come upon this place. And then we know, then we know the destruction that's coming upon this place. Remember, he said when you know this knowledge, you know, it's better for you not to have known it than to know it and fall back. So it's like once we get it, it's like, hell nah, I'm good. You know, I ain't falling back. It ain't what you being cocky just at. Hey, I know. You don't know what I know. That's why it's a gift. It's like he giving us the key. Everybody running to the door, and we got the key to the door. You know.
That's why it's like it. But that's why each brother, each brother don't know as much as the next brother. That's why everybody, you're gonna be measured by what you know, right? And that's why there's gonna be crowns. That's why it's gonna be a crown of service, right? That's why you have ranks, right?
But that word you're talking about is reverential. It's like, you know, when you revere somebody, like it's a great respect. So it's a reverential fear. So it's a great respect. You know what I'm saying? So it's not fear as in, you know, like how Esau tried to have us in slavery. Like it's a fear as in a great respect for Yahweh. That's what.
Just like how you feel your mama, how you feel your daddy.
I'm not gonna do certain shit because that's respect. You know what I'm saying? It's a fear.
And I got this quick precept. This is 2 Corinthians 13 in verse 5 in NLT. It says, examine yourselves to see if your faith is genuine. Test yourselves. Surely know that Yahweh Shah is among you. If not, you have failed the test of genuine faith. All right, so again, this whole thing is a test. All right, many brothers have failed. All right, so we have the chance to pass the test. Meaning we have to still study. All right, we have to still we have to come to class. All right, we have to be on time. We have to be prudent, right? Because if not, we're gonna fail the test. I used to hate school on the corner level, but that's why this truth is. I don't have a hard time studying, but you know. So but like the Lord said, it's not grievous. All right, once you get into it, you be like,
gotta do it.
Damn, I should have been did this. All right.
Kind. It be like that, you know. That's why it's like, you know, you build that order. That's why you gotta have order as well too. You know, you can't just be out just like a guy and doing whatever. You know, you gotta have that order. Like, hey, if you got a job, okay, you work from X amount of hours, X amount of hours. When you get off, set 15 to 20 minutes to study. You know, do lessons, things that such, and put it to Yahweh Shem Shah. Because remember, the scriptures say, you know, those who use the word not abusing it. You know, Yahweh Shem Shah know that we have to, you know, we know we have to do what we got to do to survive, you know, that daily bread, you know, that, you know, that's why we pray for us convenient for it, right? But we ain't trying to get too caught up to where we working consistently. We don't got no, oh, come on, I'm tired, I can't do it. Oh, nah, if it's getting too much, even if you're up there elect, how about Shah will pull those things or pull you away from those things that's pulling you from the truth, right? So you just gotta observe
And you got 5.
gun, but it be for a reason, you know. It really be for a reason. You gotta have that. You gotta see if your face genuine. You know, you got a lot of guys who are, oh yeah, we need you to come in, this and that, but you might have a count. You know, matter of fact, just a quick point a while ago. That's why Elder Pastor was talking about, you know, it's how you know how about Shah not doing rich man. You got a rich man, right? He's giving an example like, look, you might have a rich man. This rich man, if you know, I can't come to count this week. I gotta go do this and that, things that such, right? Oh, here's a $3. Oh, I gotta go over here. I gotta go out of town. We finna go bury somebody. And Apostle Harvard was like, look, you know, the script say let the dead bury the dead. He wasn't really about somebody, but he was just giving them like, you know, when you get caught up in too many affairs, you start losing focus. You start losing the order of yourself, and then your faith start becoming less genuine. You know, you start putting in the time when you feel like you need to put in the time. But in reality, like the brother saying, it's the ultimate test. Ultimately, it's a mercy. It's mercy for us right now. You know, and Yahweh Shah created this passage to be narrow to see who would stay focused on this narrow passage that we on and see the mercy, the knowledge, the understanding, the names, you know. But most people don't see the mercy. They see it as if they can go do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. But we got the spiritual eye to see the mercy that's upon us. So now we got a chance to walk in that righteous way, walk in the righteous path. And we got a chance to see the test. The pop quiz been popped up. You know, it happened daily. Jake ain't prepared for the pop quiz not one time. You know, so every time Jake encountered temptation or encountered trouble, guess what he do? He fold, he quit. He just give in to what's the easiest way. But each and every day, the spirit of power, how about y'all shine? Brother saying, studying, staying on point, studying lessons, doing lessons. That's if each and every day them pop quizzes pop up, we prepare for them because the spirit is, you know, on 2 Corinthians 4:16, like the word. The air remains renewed day by day, man.
That's why the scripture says, study and show thyself approved, right? And the Lord gave us the study guide, right? And hey, he said, hey, you can use the study guide on the test, right? So you feel me? So the only thing you gotta do is fill it out, study it, hey, be prepared. The same question you see that's on the study guide, the same question is gonna be right here, right? He ain't gonna give us nothing new, right? And we did chapters 1 through 12 today. That's what the exam gonna be on, right? That's what the final test gonna be on, right? All you gotta do is study and show thyself approved. You gotta put effort and time into it. Right? Just like in Matthew 13th chapter, that man that found a treasure in the field, right? And he sold all that he had and put his all into that prayer or in that treasure. Same thing that we have to do, right? We gotta let go of everything else and put our all into Yahweh Bashin, Yahweh Shah, right?
So, I mean, really, when you think about it, that's really what it boils down to. It's just effort. You know, you gotta put effort into what's important in the world. Like when you dealing with your woman, you know what I'm saying? She don't see you putting effort into it. She don't feel like you don't love her, right? If you got your job, you know what I'm saying? And you're not putting in effort. Your supervisor, your boss, he can go up, but he don't really want this job. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth, right? Well, like if you're a kid, right? If your parents don't see you putting effort into helping around the house, they're not gonna want to get you back because you're not showing effort. So the same way that you know what I'm saying? Yahweh Shah is that you know we preparing for that marriage. You gotta put in effort, right? Like that analogy I used with a woman. Yahweh Bashin, Yahweh Shah want that same effort, man, because you gotta prove that this, you know, that's really what you do.
You know, like you said with the woman, you know, in the spiritual marriage. So even if you put too much time into your job, put too much time in anything else but your woman gonna say you don't really want me. Like you said, you know, like a spiritual marriage, you gotta put the time into the spiritual marriage. Once you're married to work, they gotta be the main focus. Yeah, you got things around where you gotta maintain what you want, but that spiritual marriage is the main focus that we're focusing on. You know, spiritual marriage, like how about Shah, that bride and the lamb, that bride is the elect.
You want that, Joe? Yeah, somewhere you want me to start at?
You can throw that one here. We all can read it all. We can read a little bit of each because you know we just go through it.
I would say reading the NLT, but same thing here would be too.
I can't.
That's a school child. That ain't crazy.
Yeah, I'm finna say school child.
I read in the NLT or whatever.
You got the parallel Bible.
Yeah, I got it both.
Oh, I see.
KJV and NLT.
That's how much. But this is Job 1, and I start at 1. I just read it in KJV, and if
Yeah, I
it
was finna
sounds
say
better,
this.
Verse 1 it says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared the Most High and eschewed evil. And we just went over what that true fear of the Lord is. That's a great respect for the Most High, right? You're not going to go against him. You're not going to go off into your own thing, right? You're not going to, follow after these other things. Just being lenient with the world, right? Having that, what they call it, like a loose leash. You're going to be tight with it, right?
And a shoe just means stay away. Like I said in LT, stay away from you. But a shoe just means it's like a great strain with like resisting. You resist you stay away from. You ain't even trying to get involved in it.
Verse 2 it says, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all men of the east.
Because back then, right now, like riches is money, things. But back then, riches was cattle, land, resources, things. That's why you see now what America trying to obtain. America trying to obtain resources from all over. Because they know that's really the true riches things that's right. Also, ultimately, just knowledge and understanding true riches. But back then, the resources that you had, the cattle, the things that set the land, that was the true riches back then.
I was just gonna say that's why they had those sacrifices they gave animals, they gave sheep, rams. That's what the riches was, right? When you had an abundance of resources such as those, that's why those are the things that you had to give up as offerings until you have a shot.
And it's showing you that Job was the greatest. So nobody could come next to him in the riches that he had. He had the most in the land.
He had it all, basically.
Like when you really think about it, you know how much land you gotta have 7,000 sheep.
Crazy.
It says 500, so it's 500 teams of oxen. So if a team, that's 2 of them, so that's 1,000 oxen. Like that's what 500 female. Like you know how much land he has.
It's crazy, man. You gotta think. You ride by, people houses that be having like 5 cows, and they be having a lot of land. So this is what Job had.
Again, those are those things that's gonna happen for the elect in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? That abundance of riches, that's what's gonna happen for you. So that, like the example you just used, whatever you can get here ain't shit compared to what your house actually gonna shop can really get you. You know what I'm saying? It says in the book of SIGH&CRY, it's a light thing on the Lord to make a poor man rich. It's easy to do. You know what I'm saying? I digress.
But a quick point too as well. That's why this chapter as well is important that you really read, because you're gonna see, Job having these things pointing from Yahweh, right? But we don't have these things yet, That's why what hope is evidence things not seen. These things are we're gonna, these things that Lord we're gonna receive in the kingdom, right? But Job had these things. He lost them and still kept the faith. How the hell you losing the faith and you ain't even got nothing? That's what they don't really realize. We under the curses. We don't have nothing. So what's the point of even trying to maintain or keep anything? But
So this is verse 4. Right? It says, his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about that Job sanctified them and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt sufferings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed the Most High in their hearts, right? Thus did Job continually. Right, that's what that goes into, celebrating, your birthdays and things of that nature. Celebrating yourselves, essentially, right?
even how you mentioned, Job he got all these things, so he would take these cattle, he would take these things, he would sacrifice them to the Yahweh, as you mentioned earlier, though. That's why Yahweh would have a sacrifice, land, sheep, those things, etc. Because those are the true riches. You sacrifice something up that's quote unquote that will be important to you or that will mean something to you in order to stay in the good grace of Yahweh.
What did Cain try to give Yahweh? It's like fruit or something like that.
Yeah.
He said,
Man, I asked for it, you know what I'm saying? You trying to give me this?
Yeah. Verse 6, it says, now there was a day.
Quick one, not like I didn't cut you off, but in the NLT it says, in this verse it says, Job first test, right? And the NLT what it says, right? Going into the next precept.
It says, verse 6, it says, now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Lord, Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
So that son's power is what? That's the angels. And that's how you know, well, we were known as the sons of power before we went out. And that's a Chris, that's to just show you to prove that, you know, we were the angels, Lord willing, that we were that number. We were the same angels that helped Yahweh Shah create the earth, those sons of power, Allahayim, right? Divine one, angels. You know, that's what it says in Romans 8:19, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the manifestation of the creatures lie in wait for the sons of power, right? Because the sons of power are us when we put back to that rulership. Psalms, it says, you know, you are God, you shall die like men. Also, I want to say that Matthew or John, they said, you know, Yahweh Shah was quoting, he said, have I not said you are gods, right? Or gods mean power, right? Or not say you are power.
So I think it says your guys in Psalms 82, yeah, he quoting.
He quoted, I think it's John 10:34, Matthew 10.
And this verse also proves that, yes, Satan is an angel that Yahweh uses on the left-hand side, right? He appeared with the sons of the Most High, you know what I'm saying, with the rest of the angels, right? There's angel on the left-hand side and angel on the right-hand side.
Just like he gave him charge, as you're gonna read, he gave him charge over Esau, Edom, as well today.
So verse 7, I'll just read verse 6 again. Right, it says, now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it.
I got a quick precept real fast. Let me think of this. 1 Peter 5 and verse 8, it says, be sober and be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walking about seeking whom he may devour. That's why you got to stay on point, man, because you got Satan, he walking around to see whom he may devour. You know, he walk around, and you see with Job, he finna, you know, Job got a good reason to be in good graces, you know, but now he's seeing that Jake going through hardship, Jake going through pain, so that spiritual demon of doubt, you know, Satan, you know, he come at you in all types of ways. You know, you got Esau, you know, who create his stumbling blocks, miracles he can do to keep you confused and keep you caught up in this world as well. So you got to be vigilant and sober. You got to be watching. You got to be on point, because at any point, you know, that it can hit you. You know, if you're not on point, if you're not on that watchtower.
Verse 8, it says, and the Lord said unto Satan, as I consider my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth the Most High, and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear the Most High for naught?
I'm gonna read that in the TV. Right? It says, Satan replied to the Lord, Yahweh, yes, but Job has a good reason to fear Yahweh. So he tell him, like, yeah, he fear you because he got all these things. He got the riches, he got the cattle, he got his family, he got all these good reasons to fear you. You know, he ain't got no reason not to give you respect, right?
And I'm gonna read the next verse in the NLT also. Right, verse 10 in the NLT, it says, you have always put a wall of protection around him, in his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. Right, verse 11, but reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face.
And that's what the Most High did to us coming out. The Most High came and took away everything from us. He came and took, you know, he took everything from us, and we got the curse upon us, right? So now we in the hardship. Now we in the hard place. Now we know. Now who gonna figure out about Yahweh Shah? Who got the faith? Hebrews 11, that chapter, you know, verse 1 tells you the hope is everything not seen, right? Because what's that? I can't think of what chapter it's in, but it says I know that it's Hebrews, but it's a precept that says, you know, why would you hope for something that you see? Why would you hope for something that you are? I can't think of what I'll find it for that, but now everything is taken from us. You know, we're still in the captivity. Our heritage was took. Our knowledge, understanding was took from us. Everything was took from us. You know, but now we at a point to we starting to understand it, and you know, it's bringing back. It's the spirit of Yahweh Shah is bringing it back to us, John 14:26. So now it's those ones who got the faith to believe it, who got the faith to withstand it, because that spiritual demon of doubt is still out here coming against, causing trouble, causing hardship.
Yeah, I got that precept.
I got a precept too.
This is Romans
I
8.
knew it was Romans.
And
Yeah, like towards the end of the chapter.
straight to the point, verse 24. It says, for we are saved by hope. And hope that is seen is not hope. For when a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for?
And that's how how Satan tell him, like, you know, he look how rich he is. Why would he have to go against you? Because you kind of protect him. You gave him everything. But now Yahweh Shah took all that from us. So now who got that hope? Who got that faith to believe that we're going to get these things back? We're going to receive this about 100-fold, you know, and keep it for eternity at this point.
Quick precept, Luke 22:31, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat, right? And, you know, that's what Satan does, right? He try to, you know, get you to, you know, blaspheme the Lord's name by taking things that you have, by, you know, the temptations and, you know, the hardship, you know, and et cetera, right? You losing money, right? Or, you know, you losing your job or whatever the case may be, you know, for you to just be going down, you like, damn, Lord, why you did this to me and things like that. You feel he wants you to talk down on the Lord, basically.
And you know that word Satan means adversary, right? And adversary means one opponent in a contest, conflict, or dispute. Meaning he the opposite. So Esau, you know, which is the physical son's daughter of Satan. This world that we have is wicked. You know, Yahweh Shah is right. This world around us and the rulers are wicked. So everything in this world, my phone stayed through that. But everything in this world, you know, is the total opposite of Yahweh Shah. You know, and that's the way that Satan want to keep you in that opposition against Yahweh Shah. And he got 2/3 right now. He got 2/3 caught up in, you know, going into Yahweh Shah.
I'll start with verse 12. I'll go back to the KJV. So Job 1 and 12 in the KJV, it says, and the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yahweh.
And that's also showing you what the Most High controls good and evil. You know, he sent Satan to go out there, you know, and test Job, right? He controls good and evil. You know, just as well as I want to say it's a king. I don't want to say it's probably, I think it's second king, but when he was dealing with the left hand spirit and right hand spirit, he said, "Who gonna go into the mouth of his prophet to lie to him?" You know, Most High do good and evil. He controls the left hand side and the right hand side. And that's how it's also showing you that Esau is fulfilling the left hand side of Yahweh Shah for him.
And show you, Satan can't do nothing without the blessing of Yahweh Shah. He told Satan what to do. He told him, do what you want to do. You can't kill him. You know what I'm saying? That's what Satan. That's the only thing Satan can do, because the Lord didn't make angels that could come up against him. That's not how that works. They're only doing their job. You know. But verse 13, right? It says, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house, and there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them. The Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yeah, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I am only escaped alone to tell thee.
So he basically tells them people came in, slaughtered his animals, slaughtered his you know, what do you call them men who be in the field, like farmers. The farmers, they killed them, right? He killed them, you know.
Verse 16, it says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of the Most High is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said,
it's showing you that the Most High is, just like the scripture says, he's repetitive, man. So here it is, you got 3 accounts already where Job done got bad news. So, you know, like I said, it's all a test, man. And it ain't gonna be just one day. All right, you ain't gonna have just one week. Some days you might have months of, you know, trials, months of tribulation. All right, so we can't expect, especially in times to come. We don't know how long we're gonna be in the wilderness. All right, well, of course we know when the Lord when the mark of the beast is implemented, whenever the Lord is gonna, come back. But in the midst of that, we don't know how long we gotta be out here homeless, all right, hungry. We don't know, right?
Verse 17, right? It says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, right, and fell upon the camels and carried them away, yep, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword.
You see, that's why he said First Peter was saying, thinking not strange, all right. And here it is. Now, I know Job was like, damn, but like, what now? What the fuck?
Because it's saying, like, as he's speaking to one man, he coming up right beside him. It's like, oh, this shit happened that way. So, it says, I am only escaping alone until thee. Right in verse 18, it says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another. It said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in the elder brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house. And it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
So in that sense, as you read, Job lost everything. That quick. Job lost all that he had. Job lost everything. Ultimately, Yahweh SIGH&CRY is sending Satan to test Job to take away all these things. This is how he put he gave Satan the charge of Esau. Who came and what? Came and took our land, came and took everything for us. Right? So this is we had the richest thing. So you gotta think the Romans, the Edomites, they came and took Jerusalem from us, right? But this is that ultimate test that we're facing, like the brother saying, every day. That's why I said we battle in spiritual wickedness in high places, because the fleshly part, we can't come against them in that type of way. We gotta stay focused in the spirit. That's what Esau want to do. Esau want to maintain and control our mind. They want to control what we do, what we think, how we do, the moves we make. They want to control all those things. They know once the spirit, how about outside upon us, they can't touch us. Remember, at the beginning of the chapter, they said you always had a protection around. What is that protection? The name, his knowledge, and understanding. Remember, this is this truth like a two-edged sword. When that was taken from us, we didn't have no protection, we had no coverage. So Esau, was doing whatever the hell he want to us, right? He had us confused, calling us as African Americans, running around these churches, all types of things. But now that protects us, that covers back upon us. That's why what the scripture say, that covering cast is being lifted. Now we returning back to who we are as a people.
Just think about what I had mentioned earlier with that rich man. It's the same. Job was a rich man. What did y'all trying to tell him to do? He wanted him to be like Job.
That shit get brighter.
He wanted that rich man to be just like Job. He wanted him to give up all that he had to come from him, because that's what you gotta do. You got to be able to give up everything that you have in the world, the same way Job had to give up. Everything he had in the world.
I got a quick precept.
Why you got that precept? Just a quick point, man. That's the only way we're gonna be able to win that battle is through the spirit, right? Because Esau got the advantage of, in the flesh, right, in the corner sense. But in spiritual sense, he can't mess with us, right? That's why what he do, try to deceive us, right? Try to play mind games and try to chip us and things. That while as long as I can deceive them and have them thinking this, and I continue to win, right? But that's why they go family of the word, going to hit things that they say. Why you gonna try to get rid of the knowledge, understanding, and the wisdom? But Isaiah 33:6. Now you straight. Isaiah 33:6. Wisdom and knowledge have been the stability of our times, right? The strength of his salvation. That treasure, right? Roughly paraphrasing.
This is Matthew 16, and I started verse 23. Says, Yahweh turned to Peter and said, "Get away from me, Satan. You are a dangerous trap to me. You are seeing things." It's the NLT, right? It said you're seeing things merely from a human point of view, not from Yahweh. It says, then Yahweh said to his disciples, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up the cross, and follow me." He says, if you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. It says, and what do you benefit if you gain the whole world or lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? And that's really the point. You gotta be ready to give up everything for Yahweh SIGH&CRY. But Yahweh SIGH&CRY, he testing Job. He taking everything. He giving Satan the charge to take away everything from him. Which that'll happen to us. But now that Esau done created this free will, you gotta think Esau playing the mind game for, like the brothers mentioned. Esau know it. Jeremiah 50 say, we haven't done that wrong. They sin against their power. Esau knowing that who chosen are, knowing that we was in the bad sense of Yahweh Shah, right? So they came, they went overboard things they doing, you know. But now we got knowledge understanding back into us. Now they trying to create these free will spirits, this free avenue to walk around abroad, do whatever you want to do. You can be this, you can be that, you can be that, you can be this. That's why Yahweh Shah allowed America to be that golden cup, right? But you gotta be ready to get first depart from this place, return to Yahweh Shah, and give up everything around you to come return back to Yahweh Shah.
Finishing off Job 1, verse 20, right? It says, then Job arose and rent his mantle. And again, just recapping, he done lost everything. He lost all the animals, he lost his sons, you know what I'm saying? Everything gone, right? And this is all in one day, right? And I'm gonna finish off and I'll try to go back on. But verse 20, it says, then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped and said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed is the name of the Lord. And all this Job said not, nor charged the Most High foolishly.
That's one of my favorite precepts, Job 1:21. Right? Yeah, but that's one of the favorite precepts, right? When Job 1:21, because what it said, I read it again, right? I read it in NLT, right? It says, he said, I came naked from my mother's womb, and I'll be naked when I leave, right? Because you can understand, bro, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom. You trying to build a life, you trying to build anything, you trying to build wealth, what is it called, a cloud, you know, you trying to build an image. Yeah, you trying to build, you trying to build all this, but you came in here with nothing, right? We came in with nothing, you know. And so now, you know, the only way we're gonna see that hundredfold of that bondage is what? If we return back to Yahweh Shah and give everything up and return back into Him, you know. And as we, you know, the reason we read this chapter because Job kept his patience throughout this whole thing, and he remembered that I had all these things, right? Yeah, I had all these things, which we had all these. We had riches. The kingdom under King David, right under Solomon, before Solomon went off. Well, our kingdom was Jerusalem was the top. You know, remember when we fell, they said, is it not perfection of beauty? Right? Jerusalem was the top, you know, but when it was taken from us, right, we was bruised out here, we were put in low places. The scripture says the rich are put in low places. Right? That's why James chapter 1, it says, faith work of patience. You know, through her you obtain, matter of fact, I read it real fast. Trying to point out. This James chapter 1 in verse 3. It says, I started verse 2, it says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse and different temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have a perfect work, even be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Right? And we cast a lot of care upon Yahweh Shah. We don't want nothing, we don't need nothing. We know Esau is contrary to it, Yahweh Shah is contrary to us. So we lie and wait for righteousness, we lie and wait for Yahweh Shah to come. Whatever Yahweh Shah blesses while we here, that's cool. We take it, maintain, do what we gotta do, the daily bread. But we're not trying to chase nothing. We're not trying to build nothing. Because ultimately, when that big test comes, now Job went through this in one day. But when that big test comes, Jacob trouble, you know, Esau coming, persecuting, killing, slaughtering, doing all these type of things. Is you gonna be able to keep your patience? Is you gonna be able to ride up? Because remember, we have nothing here. But Job had a lot of things that took it from him. We don't got shit. They might take your car thing. You gonna cry about the car? You gonna cry, you know? You gonna cry about the car? You gonna cry about it? Yeah.
You have a chariot.
You know, you gonna be able to fly. You know what I'm saying? But so it's like, you know, we gotta keep that patience, man. That's the whole thing. Job kept his patience, and the time to come, if you don't got no patience, you know, hey, you gonna lose it. Like as we mentioned earlier, you know, a lot of guys gonna start getting to like they want to eat. I need this, I need that. Now we keep a pace for Yahweh Shah. I was gonna read an account earlier, 2 Kings 17, where you know it talks about how the Most High caused a raven to feed Ezekiel. You know, he caused guys as such, right? Yahweh Shah gonna make a way. If you got patience and faith to hold on and you know and trust him.
And that word patience goes to suffering. So you gotta be willing to suffer. You gotta be willing to go through something and still smile about it, right? And still say okay. And I think once we get to that, once we get to the point where we start talking to his wife, because he's gonna say, "Shall I not receive good and evil at the head of the Most High?" So we gotta be ready to receive that evil too, right? We face some evil times here, but once we get there, we can close out.
I just want to read this real quick. Shara 2 and 4, right? I really got to start one. Right? And only because you said, right, you got to take these things like with a smile, you know, so just smile at things. Right? So verse 1 it says, my son, if thou couldn't serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure. Make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Right? Because again, you're gonna be increased, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta stay on course. Right? That's why it says constantly endure. Right? But the point I really wanted, verse 4, it says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take it cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed from the lowest state, man. So that's what you gotta do, you know, because again the Lord deals in balance, right? So it's not, we're not telling you that you're gonna be homeless, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be homeless tomorrow, your mama gonna die, your daddy gonna die, everybody's gonna die, and you will never get nothing out of it, you know what I'm saying? You're just gonna be down in your ass for this. You're like, no, the Lord dealing balance, so you know what I'm saying, he may bless you with this or that, you know, brothers got jobs, you know what I'm saying, the Lord blessed you with a job, you know what I'm saying, where you can pay your bills, you can have a house, you know, so on and so forth. But the same way he blessed you with that job, the same way he can get you fired, you know what I'm saying? Now are you gonna curse the Lord, you know, so are you gonna be like Job, are you gonna bless him? It's still crazy.
So you wanted to get to that with his wife? That's in chapter 2.
So I'm gonna start from
Yeah, it's only 13. 13 verses.
yeah, I'll jump from the top, man. It's only 13. I'll read the whole thing in NLT this time. So this is Job 2, and verse 1 in the NLT. It says, one day the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves before the Lord. Right now, again, this is talking about, you know, the angels of the Lord. It says, the accuser, Satan, came with them. Where have you come from, the Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. Right? And really, you know, in the KJV, right, like you was reading earlier, right, he's walking, you know what I'm saying, up and down there, because he's, you know what I'm saying, he's here. He's doing things that the Lord commanded him to do, stirring up, you know, trouble and shit. Right? But,
Still get them destroyed.
verse 3, in the NLT, right, it says, then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears power and stays away from evil. And he has maintained his integrity, even though you urged me to harm him without cause.
I got a definition of that word integrity. Right? It says integrity is the quality of being honest, having strong moral principles, and maintaining consistent upright behavior even when no one's watching. Right? And that's what, you know, he telling them, you know, even when you urge me to come up against them when I ain't, you know, without a reason to, you know, and most I had a reason to come up against us, you know, for our disrespect, you know, us going against Yahweh Shah, falling away to the heathen, right? So Yahweh Shah, it was just what he did to us, right? But you still got Jake who lacked moral principle, who lacked walking in uprightness, you know, still walking in the order of these heathens and the ways around them, you know, they lack their integrity. So you gotta maintain that integrity. You know, which Yahweh Shah revealed that standard back into us again. So now we got the route to walk back into that righteous route again, the righteous way again.
Verse 4. So Satan replied to the Lord, skin for skin. A man will give up everything he has to save his life. Reach out and take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face.
That's why the scripture said, be sober, be vigilant, because Satan coming to try you in any way he can. You know, he come to try you anyway. You see how Esau, you know, they taking away. It's just like how Esau, you know, moving now. You know, the serpent sizing up his prey. You know, first he tried to he took away all his riches and said, now he come for his help. What Esau doing? Esau taking away the benefits. He made you comfortable, right? Now he take away for the benefits he was giving you, the EBT, the Section 8. He taking away these things, right? In order for you to get back to that comfort, what you got to do? Yeah, you take this chip, we're gonna put you back on EBT. You know, you take this chip, you're gonna build a Section 8, you gotta worry about rent. You know, Esau doing that same thing. He's sizing up his prey. He coming in any way he can to gain control of you, to seek you, how the brother read and Luke. You know, that's what Satan gonna do. You know, remember that he says that he was crafty and cunning. You know, more subtle. I said right, subtle than any beast of the field. So he crafty and cunning. He got his moves, you know. But once when that spirit, you're not ignorant of Satan's devices.
You see, this is what Israel wanted. What did Satan say? You know, basically, if you eat this, you will know the knowledge of good and evil. All right, so now we tasting what? Good and evil. So basically, it's all a balance. It's a necessary evil, but it's exactly what Eve wanted. Eve symbolized the nation of Israel with domestic partner. So you know, you get what you asked for.
This is I'll read verse 5 again, right? It says, but reach out and take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face. Verse 6, all right, do with him as you please. The Lord said to Satan, but spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes.
So basically, Job Job sickest. Basically, Job sickest there, like Job sicker than the mud.
Right, you need to look up, because I watched a lesson of the Apostle Rambam, and he was going to like what boils and things like that look like. And when you look it up, that shit gruesome.
Mm-hmm. Like you talking like when the little bubbles on your skin.
You gotta look up real images.
It's worse than chicken pox, smallpox.
You look up some real images of that shit. Or like it's kind of outside, it's really not going into prophecy in Revelation 13. Right, one of those plagues is those diseases. Right, when you look up the things, I'm telling you, shit's like if you weak in the stomach, you might want to look up. Verse 9, right? It says his wife said to him, "Are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse the Most High and die." Right, that's what Eve do.
Yeah,
Right? So that's what Eve. You know what I'm saying? Eve is always trying to get you to go against
Israel.
Yeah, literally. Like you were saying, like you just said earlier. You know what I'm saying? That they all. The ways are constantly against the ways of Yahweh Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, right? It's like I mean, that's kind of how that word meaning, like when you being effeminate, you being emotional. You know what I'm saying? You're not thinking.
Thinking logically.
Exactly. Right. Like curse the Most High. What are you gonna get from that? You know, like that's not logical. Like the brother just said.
I got a piece I read real fast. Wisdom Solomon 2 and 12 says, therefore let us lie and wait for the righteous. Because we lie and wait for Yahweh Shah. He says, because he is not for our turn, talking about Esau, Edom. He is clean contrary to our doing, because he's total opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be walking in the ordinary ways of Yahweh. Esau is contrary to that. He said, he upbraids us with our offending the law, but they break the law, they turn the law, right? It says, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education, right? They put it to where you got to go to these schools, you got to be the scholar to be able to learn this truth, as it says, Another point I wouldn't make, I don't know if y'all know this, but like with Islam, Dirk was talking about this a long time ago. That's why Islam was one of the those religions that Esau created as well, but it backfired on him. But Lil Durk, the rapper Lil Durk, he was talking about this one day. He was basically asking like why he in Islam and whatnot. He was basically saying like because they accept the fact that they doing wrong, but they accept the fact to do it to make sure they obtain a good life in this world. Basically take care of their family and whatnot. So they'll go out, do whatever they gotta do, sell drugs, do whatever they gotta do to maintain riches and have a good life in this world. And that basically they making themselves a sacrifice to that, whatever it is, to obtain those riches things that's such, But Job, he ain't on that. Job keeping his integrity to walk in the ordinance of Yahweh Shah. And this is, I said this because of the point of how soft Jake is. Jake could rather, instead of enduring suffering, pain, and hardship, Jake could rather go walk in the orders of the other heathen. Remember in Maccabees what it says, when we left amongst them, we've been going through a lot. We might as well go be with them and have it easier. That's the mindset Jake can still today. We might as well just go have an easy life for ourselves. We ain't gotta make it hard. See, we gonna die anyway. Esau done create this so-called heaven or all these religions where Jake can go in and be in them and do whatever they want to do. Christianity, Islam, things of that sort.
I'm glad you said that. This is how you know dirt gonna be destroyed, because his wife India, she I ain't gonna say she's the truth, but she an Israelite. She claimed to be a Hebrew Israelite.
For real?
Yeah, his daddy Big Dirt, he had said it a while ago in an interview, but he was just saying how because she I guess she don't claim Islam. She might with a shit, but I think she can identify as a Hebrew Israelite. There's a lot of women in Chicago like that. The truth is everywhere now, but what did Paul say? If you have a believing wife and an unbelieving husband, all right, and because Dirk, I'm pretty sure Dirk know about the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just proof that he gonna be destroyed because you don't have your chance. The Most High puts woman in front of you, right?
Come on.
So continue on. Right. Verse 9 again. It says, so Job 2 and 9, it says, his wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? curse the Most High and die. And that's why this is in the NLT, right? Verse 10 it says, but Job replied, "You talk like a foolish woman."
You talk like a stupid.
Literally. What does it say? A shameless woman should be counted as a dog. You know.
You gotta get rid of the woman. Said through her we all should die, man. You gotta get away from the women.
Top verse 10 again, it says, but Job replied, "You talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of power and never anything bad?"
And that's what Jake, you know, and that's another thing that Esau done confused Jake in. Good. God loves all. Well, when you come to this truth, you're able to understand this and accept, because it's a scripture. I want to say it's Lamentation 4, the chapter 4. It goes into how, you know, it talks about how our iniquity lifted up, because the curses are upon us, but now we're returning to understand, like, okay, we were sitting over here because we went off. We in captivity because of this. We not having a good life because of this. You know, they still don't want to accept the fact that Yahweh Shah sent us over here. Remember, he said, I sent you over here not for your destruction, but because you transgressed my ways, my law. Really paraphrasing. But Jake still don't want to accept that, understand that. Remember, they said, prophesy to me good thing. You know, we trying to tell them what they doing wrong, and Jake still turning back from. They only want to hear the good thing. That's why they go to church. Oh yeah, God gonna bless you with this. God gonna bless you with that. God gonna bless you with that. Why they love? God, why they love Trump? Trump sending out little $2,000 thing. Why they you know, they know Jake pressure points. Satan know Jake pressure points, and he hit him in all them ways. You know, he hit him in all the pressure point ways to make Jake weak. And it's easy to control a weak man, man.
And this also further, it just keeps proving the point that all these things are done at the hand of Yahweh Shah. It's not Satan just going off and doing these things, you know, as an opponent to Most High. No, you know what I'm saying? He's doing the things he's going to do. That's why he just said, right? I'm gonna start from the top, verse 10. But Job replied, "You talk like a foolish woman, so we accept only good things from the hand of the Most High and never anything bad."
That's like the precept you read, it's like the precept you read earlier. Think it not strange. You know, think it not strange when that fire trial come. When this test come, you gonna have Jake out here wondering how the hell, when Jacob trouble really pop out, they wonder how the hell they can get out of it. But you gonna have the elect understanding, like, hey, it's about time for us to go home. Or we get closer to it. Come on, Esau, let's do it. You know, but you gonna have Jake figuring out, like, well, how the hell can I get out of this? Because they only want to accept the good thing. They only want things to be good for them. Remember that why, you know, it said this is not your rest. Esau done professed his false rest, so now Jake feeling like he good. And once Esau get on his madman rampage, they're gonna be trying to stay in good grace with him. Like, well, what can we do to stay on y'all good side? You know, because they don't know the Most High. Fear is the beginning of knowledge of wisdom. They don't fear him, man. They don't understand his power controls all this. But
It says, so in all this, Job said nothing wrong. Verse 11. When 3 of Job's friends heard of the tragedy he had suffered, they got together and traveled from their homes to comfort and console him. Their names were Eliphaz, the Temanite, Bildad, the
Shushite.
Yes, Shuhite. It says in Zophar, the
Namathite.
Verse 12. It says, when they saw Job from a distance, they scarcely recognized him. Wailing loudly, they tore their robes and threw dust in the air over their heads to show their grief. They sat on the ground with him for 7 days and nights. No one said a word to Job, for they saw that his suffering was too great for words. Everything was taken from him, man. You gotta think, this man sounds like he's at the bottom of the bottom. He's broke. He don't got his resources that he once had. All his sons was killed, so he can't continue his house. You know, because that was the pride of a man. You know what I'm saying? To have a son to continue your house, right? Your house, your name was a big thing, right? And now your health going too. You at rock bottom. You know, especially for a rich man. You at rock bottom. But at the end of it,
It's still like blasphemy. Or, you know, curse Yahweh Shah, right? So he gave our praises. That's what we have to do during the time of trouble, right? We're in the perilous times, right? The evil times. 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, right? But these are the times for us to endure these things, man. And, you know, we may not have to go through that same thing, Joe, but we're going to do similar things just like it, right? Okay, you got to think, female counts, right? And it ain't going to just be guillotines, right? It might be gas traps, right? Torturing, all types of crazy things that we have to go through, man, that we have to endure, right? So,
That's it. That's enough.
And quick point, you gotta think, like Jacob showed through the first time ever, right? So and Job went through some of the worst times ever. So that should show you that Job was gonna be back today. Job was gonna suffer in Jacob's trouble. Right? But Job was gonna do it. He gonna do what he did the first time, right?
Hey, even if you go to Job 14, he talks about it. He was like, "True, why should I not die? But I not die when I came out of my mother's womb?" Because Job was going through a lot. He basically said he wanted to be in the spiritual realm where his peace at. You know, why did I not die when I came out of my mother's womb? Because he understood, being down here, what we facing. He didn't run from it, but he understood it. You know, he understood that being out of this flesh, being out of this corruption, being in the spiritual body, where it's gonna be peace at. And that's where we're gonna receive peace. Spiritual bodies in the kingdom. But we can close. I gotta close it down. Okay. So this First Maccabees chapter 2, and I started verse 51. You know, it says, call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in the temptation? It was imputed unto him for righteousness. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. Phinehas, our fathers, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Yahushua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of everlasting kingdom. Right? It says Elias.
If I'm not mistaken, that Yahushua is talking about Joshua, if I'm not mistaken. Because think about it, the book of Maccabees was talking about the judge. I think Joshua was a judge. You know, Jesus and Joshua the same name, technically. I could be mistaken.
I gotta look up some I read. Okay. But cause he the king of Israel.
That's what I'm saying.
But verse 58 says, Elias, for being zealous and fervent, for the law was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Masal, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of the lions. And here's the point. And it often says, and this consider ye throughout all ages, that none that put their trust in him, is Yahushua, shall be overcome. So none that put their trust in Yahushua shall be overcome, man. All those men, remember Romans 15:4, they read the first time before I learned it. And all these men went through these things, went through these suffering, went through the hardship. We read with Job. He went through deep hardship. So, and as the brothers mentioned, Jacob trouble gonna be like no time before. So we gonna go through it hard, and we understand. The elders talking about this the other day as well. The ones who overcome, our kids think they're gonna read about us in the kingdom. Like they're gonna be reading about the elect, this how we reading about the man before. They're gonna be reading about it in the kingdom. Like, but that's what he overcame. He did this, things that such, man.
Said they let by their own story. Their own books.
So you got a chance to choose, man. What you want to be known as, great in the kingdom of heaven or least in the kingdom of heaven.